Good evening, everybody, and thank you for attending the candidate forum hosted by the Town of Bronson. The purpose of this forum is to provide you with valuable tools to make an informed decision on Tuesday, April 4th. My name is Sue Beaudet. I'm the town manager for the Town of Bronson, and I'll be serving as your moderator of the candidate forum. With me this evening is Wendy Mirage. She's the deputy town clerk for the Town of Bronson. The first hour of the candidate forum will be comprised of predetermined questions that each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer. The second hour of the candidate forum will consist of questions from the audience. Again, the candidates will have 2 minutes to address each question. It is important to note that this forum is non-partisan in nature, and all participants are expected to be on their best behavior at all times. So last time I had a person that did the time for me. I don't have that right now, so I'm going to be doing my time myself this time. All right, so we're going to start with Jordan for the first question. Jordan, what is your motivation for running for the Bronson Town Council? 2 minutes.
I feel like I've been here my whole life, and as a lifetime citizen, I feel like I can get out and talk with the community and feel and see what our needs are and try to communicate with them and make Bronson grow, plan our growth to where we can get more small businesses in, and we can increase our town value quality, make more people want to come here and live here. Give people something to come for, basically.
Done? Mark, same question.
Okay, is that on?
Yep.
Okay. For me, I've only been here 3 years, but I've gone to several of the town council meetings and been on several committees, and I love Bronson. You know, I moved out here for a reason, because I didn't want to be in Gainesville, where my children are, and I think that there is a significant amount of community camaraderie in Bronson. I know that there's not a whole lot of people here, and there's not a whole lot of people that attend the meetings, but I also know that the information from the town council meetings and the committees does get out to the community, and I think that that is so important, so we have an idea, like Jordan said, about what the people want. Additionally, I feel that it is extremely important to get the right type of business in here to promote growth and functionality of the town, and that's my drive for wanting to be on the town council.
Julie, same question.
I'm in I'm on the same page with you guys about the promoting small town. I grew up in Williston. It's not quite as small as Bronson, but I've been in Bronson for over 17 years. So, the small town, I think we need to have more small town businesses rather than large corporations. I'm not saying that large corporations are a good thing for the future, but I want to try to keep small town Bronson. I want to try to get community events going on, annual events to bring revenue to our town instead of us going to other towns to spend our money. I would like to see it stay in Bronson, even if it's an arts and craft festival. It's just something for the community to come together where everybody can know everybody. You know, we can do this as a community. And I'd like to see the fireworks come back on 4th of July. You know, there's a lot of things that the town has lost over the years that I'd like to see come back. We need to work on communication with the schools and their fundraisers and, you know, events going on so everybody knows about them ahead of time so everybody can become involved in them. It just bring the community back together the way it used to be is basically my main goal.
All right, question 2. This is going to be for Mark. What do you think is the single largest issue facing the town of Bronson today?
I would say budgeting, financial. I think that based on what I've witnessed in the town council meetings as well as the 5-year capital planning meeting and code enforcement board, there is, as people may or may not know, we just had a 25% hike in sewer and water. There's another one planned for next year, and that is because there's not enough money to sustain our infrastructure right now. So those increases, unfortunately, were necessary, and I think that if we did a better job of really knowing what the financial situation is, we would not have these surprise increases, and they're substantial. 25% is a lot at one time. So to get more eyes on that and help Sue or whoever the town manager is really look at that budget and have time to look at it before it's due, I think is probably my main goal. So there's not these significant rate hikes for whether it be for water, sewer, or anything else.
Julie, same question.
Well, from personal experience over the years, I think the water is an issue in Bronson, our water system. I think that when we have a busted pipe and the whole town of Bronson is out of water, and then on boil water notices for 3 days, it tends to be havoc. I think that's something that really definitely needs to be addressed. And I agree with the budget. You know, I realize the budget had a lot to do with being able to replace water pipes or get somebody in here to actually do the job of figuring out what's going on with the water in Bronson.
Jordan, same question.
Would be my number one concern. Also, is the water. It's sad whenever you can't ever go inside your house and know 100% you're going to turn the water on and it's on. And I've actually had it tested once before and it came back not great quality either. And I feel like if we planned better toward that as a council and tried to plan ahead and get things in place to try to fix the infrastructure of our water, that we could make it better for our community.
All right, third question. This one's for Julie. What should the town do to improve its economic standing?
There's so many things.
You got 2 minutes.
Where do we start? And I think that kind of goes back to bringing revenue into our town. Like, if you don't have anything to bring anybody here, then everybody's going out of town to spend money. You can't bring money to town if you're not willing to put in the time to do something as a community to make the money.
Okay. Jordan, same question.
Could you repeat the question?
Yep, absolutely. What should the town do to improve its economic standing?
I think this leads back to planning ahead with the community and trying to get more grants for certain things in it to take the burden off of our citizens. And I think number one really is just planning the economic side of it. With, like Julie said, we could try to have more events in town to bring outside money into the town to get it off of the citizens of the town, basically, because I feel like we're paying our part, but it's just not enough, so we need to start doing more things, bring more businesses and more jobs, all that into our own community.
Mark, same question.
Agree with both Julie and Jordan. I think specifically we have a lot of opportunity in Bronson that I think is going untapped. The biggest one I think is we have a great park, we have a track. If the track was made functional for meets of some type, I think that would definitely bring revenue into Bronson and add to the community camaraderie. There is a planned development at the end of Main Street with 52 homes coming in. I think that will help as well. But those residents are, when they're looking at those homes, they're going to want to be looking also at what differentiates Bronson from Gainesville. We'll just pick on Gainesville, or even Williston and Chiefland. You know, I came to Bronson because I like the small town feel. I like the fact that I can, you know, walk to Julie's or walk to Rachel's new coffee shop or walk to Town Hall. You know, I can pretty much walk wherever I need to. And I think that it's important to bring those types of events in that are going to bring other communities, whether it's Williston, Chiefland, Gainesville, and utilizing that park would be one significant way that would happen.
Next question is for Jordan. How would you improve the water and sewer system provided to our residents?
Well, I know we have a grant right now that you're trying to get for wastewater to get everyone connected, and the more that we have connected, the lower the rates could be, and hopefully it will affect the impact fee that is trying to get passed right now and lower it. I feel like as far as the water goes, I think we really need to do some major work to try to get our infrastructure rebuilt to have better quality of water. So we need to try to look around and find funds for that. We just had an increase in rates, so I really would like to stick away from increasing rates as much as possible and try to find other ways on with the council, working with the council.
Mark, same question.
Water and sewer, as everybody knows, has been an issue. I think the biggest impact to correct that is work on the infrastructure. There are grants out there, and I think that Bronson has relied a lot on grants. I know that the town manager does a lot of work on getting grants, which is great. You know, grants are a great way to get some funding. It is concerning, though, that we rely on grants because there could be a day where those grants are not available. So part of the process of the study to increase the water and sewer rates is to have money set aside to work on the infrastructure. And there's other things that are being worked on as well, other projects that will help build a stronger infrastructure for water and sewer in addition to the grants. So I think there's a lot of things in the works right now that will, at some point in the future, stabilize our water and sewer system. And the impact fees that Jordan talked about, I am a proponent of higher impact fees because I feel that new people coming in need to pay their fair share at a replacement cost value, as opposed to end-of-life use costs. So that revenue from those impact fees, like the planned development that's coming in at the end of Main Street, will add money to provide the funding for a more stable water and sewer system, and it will not impact the current residents of Bronson who have already paid their dues, whether They've been here for 17 years, your whole life, 3 years. We've already been paying our water and sewer. We've already been paying into that. So that is key for the future development and maintenance of the current water and sewer system.
Julie, same question.
I agree 100% with what Mark says, because the grants won't be around forever. So we'd have to come up with some kind of way to, if the grant isn't available, then we'd have to come up with a different way to raise the money to do it, because it's necessary. Like, we need to find out where all the old lines are at, because there are still active water lines, one of them being underneath the restaurant that caused a big ruckus not too long ago. If we've got active water lines, we don't even know if they're leaking. The only way I knew is because it was coming up in the floor of my kitchen. So it's definitely something that we have to address. And I think the first step is by locating all of them. The town could be losing money if you've got active lines out there that are leaking. So the first step would be identifying where actually all of them are, old ones and active, the new ones. So that would be the first thing that I would suggest looking into, is actually mapping out the water past and what we're dealing with now.
Mark, this question is for you. How should the town approach long-term growth?
Slowly. I think that, there's so many examples of towns or cities that expand too quickly, and when that expansion happens, the city leadership doesn't think about the impact that it's going to have on the area. For example, I will use Gainesville. Gainesville has a huge amount of growth on the south side of Archer Road coming into Archer. The reason that took so long to get started is because of the impact it would have on the infrastructure that the city of Gainesville and Alachua County has. So it has become a big problem, and then traffic is also another problem, because you're building there, but you can only expand Archer Road so much, and at what point do you start having to use eminent domain to where you're paying people for their property, but they don't really have a choice? I think that, people think that Bronson's small, that could never happen here, and I don't believe that. I think if it's not planned correctly and at a pace that Bronson can handle the impact on the current infrastructure and plan improved infrastructure, Bronson can grow too fast. And I think that is something that can be controlled. The other part of that is small business. May not be a popular opinion, but I'm very transparent. I was not a proponent of the Family Dollar, and I think that Family Dollar for me is not the right type of business that we need in Bronson, because it's, regardless of anything, it is very similar to Dollar General. So the revenue, you're not going to gain any revenue. You're just going to shift the revenue and the jobs from one place to another, is my opinion, based on other city planning activities that I've been involved in different parts of the country. You have to have the right type of business. So, for example, Rachel opened her coffee shop. Bronson, that's a great idea. It is so busy. It's my understanding there's another sandwich shop that's going to be opening. So restaurants are great. People like to go out to eat. They like to stop and eat somewhere. Other types of small businesses that I would like to see is an urgent care. I think I said that last time when I ran. Trying to get some type of urgent care here so we don't have to go to Williston or Chiefland to get basic medical or dental care. I don't know the logistics of that, but I think that there's enough people in Bronson, and if we had a higher quality in Williston or Chiefland, then people from those areas would come here. So those are just a couple examples that I would think about for the growth.
Okay. Julie, same question.
I used to, well, I still do. I watch a lot of Lifetime movies where you see the small little towns that everybody knows everybody. Every night they're doing a different thing. That's actually what I look for when I look for a house to buy to move out of Bronson one day. Like, I'm looking for this little tiny town where I can go to where it's just that home, that little small town feel where we all work together, we all support each other. So the growth, I'm not saying Bronson shouldn't grow, because there are things that we need in Bronson, but I would be more likely to promote the small businesses, like Mark said, you know, urgent care, dentist office, you know, small, locally owned businesses, and maybe one day get a grocery store. You know, not trying to put any grocery stores or Dollar General out of business, but there are certain things that you can't get at the dollar stores, save a lot. So some type of grocery store would be great, but I'm with Mark on this when I say that it's, you have to weigh the pros and cons of what you bring into the town, because you don't want to bring something in that's going to shut the small businesses down, and because it destroys that little hometown feel if all the small businesses go out of town. And I know, like Williston, if you look at their main street where Peso owns all the buildings and they're having a problem, we can't even rent those buildings out for small town businesses. And the more big businesses you bring, the more it's going to shut down small businesses. So you just have to pick and choose which ones that you bring in.
Jordan, same question.
I would love to see Bronson grow in a positive way for families and small businesses to continue to pop up. I also I think we all three have the same feeling on this. We don't want to see Bronson become Gainesville. We want to make it a hometown feel, but it is nice to be able to go somewhere while we're in town, not have to go somewhere else to go if we have an emergency or dentist appointments or anything like that. And I've told multiple people that that's what I'd like to see, to have a small pharmacy come in or the dentist, and to try to make Bronson grow in a way to prepare for small businesses to want to come here, to attract families to come in and want to live here also.
Julie, this question is for you. If you could pursue one large-scale project for the town, what would it be and why?
I'm going to go back to the water again.
Okay.
That's not my only issue, but it is a big issue. I know for the residents it's hard to deal with boil water notices, but for a restaurant it's extremely hard. Every time we have a boil water notice, we actually gather. I have 5, gallon jugs, a lot of them, and I send them to somebody that's got well water. We fill them up. We come and we deal with this so much. We do it because we're part of the community. We have to do it. We don't want to make anybody sick by serving them food that's been cooked with bad water. But it is a major issue, and it's harder on a business, not just a restaurant. It's hard on all businesses to be out of water, but it's extremely hard for that. And I know the residents, when they get home from work, then they don't have water. Guess where they come? They come to the restaurant. And yes, it makes it busier. We do not mind. But if we didn't have a boil water notice, then it wouldn't inconvenience everybody in the town. So I'm really focused on the water thing.
I get it, trust me. Preaching to the choir. Jordan, same question.
Well, as that being our number one concern is water, I mean, it'd be kind of silly to try to put anything above that focus other than trying to focus on fixing the water first, because it is our most major need for the town. I mean, you have elderly people that are relying on it, that need water. Everybody needs water, but some people rely on it a lot more, like restaurants in town. So I would stick with that being number one focus, wanting to focus on sustaining and fixing the infrastructure to fix the water for the town.
Mark, same question.
Agreed. I mean, the water, I would support continuing to focus on the efforts that the current council is making on the infrastructure for water and sewer. And like I said, I know there's grant money, I know it's in the 5-year plan, I know that there are things being worked on currently to address the water concern. And I think there really, as a immediate need for everything that we're talking about, expansion of businesses, slow growth, residency, community camaraderie, you really can't have any of that. You can't bring stuff to Bronson if we don't have a reliable, functional water system. You know, if we bring a track meet to the track and we're on a boil water notice, the food trucks aren't going to be able to clean anything, or they're going to have to figure out a way to boil. I mean, it is literally the number one thing that needs continued immediate focus to get it in line sooner rather than later.
Thank you. All right, this question is for Jordan. How do you feel about the proposed pipeline from the town of Bronson to the city of Cedar Key?
I feel like it's not going to be a very beneficial thing to Bronson. I feel like if we're not going to gain from it financially, or if it's not going to fix our infrastructure, if it's not going to increase the quality of life for citizens, then we shouldn't do it, because we're bringing everybody else's waste to here to clean. I'd like to be for it, but I'd have to see how it would benefit us more before I made that decision to do it. So.
Mark, same question.
I only have a limited amount of information about that project. From what I understand, if it's beneficial for future, which to my understanding it would be, for future infrastructure, and if the impact is non-existent for within the town limits of Bronson, you know, that is also what I understand. I'm speaking a little bit in the dark, but I haven't seen all the details of the project, so I don't know that much about it. But from what I've heard and what I've read in the minutes and the limited information that I've had access to, it has the potential to be beneficial. But like Jordan said, you know, I would want to see really the benefits of it before I have a hard stance either way, if I would be supportive of it or not. Currently, it seems like it could be beneficial, but without all of the final information, it's really hard to talk on.
Julie, same question.
I'm with Mark that I do not know a whole lot about it, because I haven't read a lot about it, but I don't support it at the time. With, like they said, you know, if it's going to be beneficial for us, but I think the town has a lot to fix of its own before they go connecting to 2 other towns to bring a problem to another town or bring more problems to Bronson. I think there's a lot to be discussed about it before we decide on it, whether we are for it or against it. It just seems like at the present time Bronson is not equipped to go ahead with that plan. So I'm not for it right now.
Okay. Mark, this question is for you. If you could do one thing to drive attention to the town of Bronson from other towns in the area, what would it be and why?
I would continue trying to expand, and for annexing, and try to build planned unit developments with green space, parks, etc. With that annexation, I think that is the fastest way to bring revenue into Bronson is creating an environment where people would like to live. I think we have even more than just the bones to do that. And I think people want to be more remote. But again, that growth has to be planned and it has to be slow and steady. And before any of that, the infrastructure has to be there, which I'm not confident that it is right now, but specifically water and sewer. But it could be. And I know that things are being worked on to address that. So to expand from a housing standpoint, a mixed use standpoint, would be very beneficial, again, if planned correctly.
Julie, same question. If you could do one thing to drive attention to the town of Bronson from other towns in the area, what would it be and why?
So, like I said earlier, like some type of annual festival or something to bring people to our area. That's one of the things that I would really like to see happen here. But I also think that I get people all the time at the motel that are wanting to live monthly. I think maybe we should look into apartment complexes to give people somewhere to rent. A lot of people can't buy houses. They have to have a place to rent. We don't have that around here. Like, we have a few rentals here or there, but as soon as they become available, you don't even have to put a sign up. It's rented that day. So, like, I think housing for people that can't afford or for whatever reason cannot get a mortgage, I think that would be a good start to bring people here. Now, I know we have a couple apartment complexes, but it's not enough. I think Bronson's bigger now. Bronson needs a little bit more for people.
Jordan, same question. If you could do one thing to drive attention to the town of Bronson from other towns in the area, what would it be and why?
I feel like that we should try to do bigger events. I mean, Williston just did a spring festival. People from all over come to it. Cedar Key does annual festivals every year and have people from hours and hours away to come to it, and makes them see the town. And upon that, also try to make our town more appealing to where when people do come, they see this nice small town and say, I'd really like to live here. And I think if we continue to make our town look better and make it look appealing and offer better water and sewer, that overall people would see and get the small town feel that everybody wants, that leaves Gainesville or bigger cities, and want to move here. And then on top of that, we also do need more houses and places to rent and buy. And I feel like the development that they're building right now is going to be a big part of that, bring 52 or 56 families hopefully to the town, and hopefully they'll want to do the same thing and help make Bronson a better place to live in.
All right, this is going to be my last question, and then we're going to open it up for questions from the audience. Julie, why should those in the market to purchase a home be interested in living in the town of Bronson?
Well, I think that Bronson, the price range of the houses are lower than anything around here. But if you want the small town feel, you know, Bronson is the place to be. I have met many people over the years that have come from big cities, and I always ask them the same question: how did you find Bronson? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how we found Williston when I was little. I have no idea. But if you are welcoming, if the town of Bronson is welcoming to people from out of town, it makes them feel more at home. I get a lot of reviews on Facebook and about the small town diner. You go into a small town diner, everybody knows everybody. They make you feel at home, even if you are from out of town. That is what I feel will attract people to come to Bronson, because they can just be passing through. And if everybody in Bronson welcome them with open arms, they're going to come back. And I think a lot of your experiences is what's going to bring people here. Their past experiences.
Jordan, same question.
I feel like being raised here my whole life, seeing the potential that Bronson has and what the small town offers, I chose to buy a house here and also raise a family here. Mainly because I do like how small of a feel it is. You go down to any of the restaurants, you know pretty much who everybody is. They're always welcoming. I think something we could work on is at the town hall, trying to get more people to answer questions. I guess happier to answer, make you feel more welcomed. When you're showing up there, I feel like we've already worked on that a lot from what it used to be, but I feel like that's something we could work on to make it more friendly. Right now, I feel like we, as a town, have a lot of potential for growth and for families to come here. We have a school, we have the park, we do have some small businesses, so I feel like people would see those things and feel comfortable coming here and wanting to live here.
Mark, same question.
Could you repeat the question?
Absolutely. Why should those in the market to purchase a home be interested in living in the town of Bronson?
I think that it is, both what Julie and Jordan have said, who've been here longer than me. I will start with my own personal story. When I moved here, I moved from the Bay Area, and my daughters wanted me to live in Gainesville. I already had a property in Gainesville, and I was like, no, I'm not living in Gainesville. So she found the house that I'm currently in, and she's a real estate agent as well. And I said, okay, that sounds great. She's like, well, I said, yeah, drive around, take a video of the town. I saw Julie's Diner, I saw the old Marathon Station, the Dollar General, Town Hall. I'm like, oh my God, that's adorable, I gotta be there. So let me just go there, renovate my house. So for me, I was looking to get out of the bigger city environment. And I think that Bronson offers that to people who either want to get out of the big city environment. We have everything here. We have small businesses. I would like to promote those more somehow. There's a lot of businesses that I learn about, every week, every month that I didn't know were here. So I think promoting them would be good. We have the parks, we have the school system. Everybody, from what I've seen, enjoys the school system. So I think that is crucial in attracting people to come to Bronson. Additionally, many people like land. I have a lot of people that are looking for land and space as opposed to being on top of each other, you know, houses right next to each other. People want to have space, and the Bronson area is very affordable for people who are looking for that type of environment. A lot of people like city water and sewer. A lot of people like well and septic, so they have the maintenance, so they don't have the cost of paying for those items. So I think that, you know, like I said, you know, the bones and more are here already to attract people. And as we continue to move forward with the 5-year plan and the planned development of housing, I agree, apartment housing would be good to make it more accessible for people to rent. But Bronson is pretty affordable from a housing standpoint compared to other areas.
All right, like I said, that's the 9 questions I came up with, but then again, I thought all 5 people would be here tonight, so I'm going to open it up to the public. Does anybody have any questions you would like to ask? I will come to you with a mic.
I'd just like to know where the other 2 are.
Okay, I will address that, even though I'm not them. Mr. Schuler has been in the hospital for the better part of the last couple of weeks, so he could not make it. He actually, his daughter just called me right before the forum started to say that he just got out of the hospital. And Virginia told me this morning that she did not have enough time to come to the forum. She didn't have enough notice to come to the forum.
Not enough notice.
I'm telling you what she told me. Questions? This is your opportunity, everybody.
One thing that I got.
Elijah doesn't need a mic.
I'm giving it anyway.
One thing that I like to know, I'm very punctual. Do any of you have a problem with being at my meetings on time?
I do not. I plan on being there. Stuff happens, I feel, in life. Emergencies happen, but you should never miss more than the meeting.
Yeah.
In my view, and you should show up on time.
On time.
Early, really.
Right. I was going to say, if you get there right at 6 o'clock, you're late.
Yeah.
I was always told if you arrive 15 minutes early, you're late.
Right.
That's the way I was raised, so.
Well, I like, actually, all of you are very, very, very good. But I know everybody can't get elected. But all of you are very good. Mark, you was talking about not liking a family dollar. Why you wouldn't like that?
Elijah, I think it's too similar to Dollar General. So, for example, if Family Dollar went in across from the courthouse like it was supposed to, instead of me getting in my car and driving to Dollar General, I would just walk a block to Family Dollar, and I might not ever go to Dollar General again. If I'm on this side of town, I may just go to Family Dollar, so the revenue would shift from Dollar General to Family Dollar. They're not exactly the same, but they're very similar in the products that they offer. So that is why I am not a proponent of that. If it was something different that would attract employment and provide some type of product or service for the residents of Bronson that is not currently being supplied, I am all for that.
Okay. Question for Joe. It's concerning the war. You're 100% right. It's not pure. There's something wrong with it. What would you do to get that out?
Well, I have to do a lot of research, to be honest with you. It's not my job currently. I deal more with electricity, but I'd like to work with the council on trying to look at other towns and see what they've done to solve issues just like we have, because we're not the first ones, and come up with a plan together to hopefully get it resolved.
Very good. And Julie, you're right about the water system, the pipe breaking, and like you say, you have a problem. I'm glad to hear you say what you said, because you could cook with that bad stuff, but you choose not to on the Boil Water Act. So you're very honest, and I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah. There you go.
Absolutely. Good answer, sir.
This is probably an unanswerable question, but I'll ask it anyway. The town park, the James H. Cobb Park, floods a lot whenever there's heavy rains. And Sue Burdett has tried to work on that, because there's a ditch that runs along the edge of the park, and there's a landowner downstream who's blocked it with 2 big berms. And so there's a feeling that the ditch no longer functions the way it should, and the park no longer drains the way it should. So, let's just start with you, Mark. Would you be interested in working on that as a project to try to, because FEMA is the agency that has jurisdiction over that ditch. I mean, there's been a claim that DEP does, but it's really FEMA. Mm-hmm. So would you be interested as a council person in taking that on as a project?
I would, if it would make the park more functional. I don't know how much of the park floods when we have a heavy rain.
All of it.
But I do. Is it the whole thing that floods?
Just about, yeah.
So, I mean, that is a significant deterrent if the town decides to bring track meets and it rains, or soccer games. Unless we're doing water polo, you can't really function in that park. So, yes, and I would assume. Now, there's an assumption here that there is a way to address that. I am not a civil engineer. I don't work for the Army Corps of Engineers. I don't know what that process would look like. But I do know that anything's possible with time and money. So there has to be some type of way to address that issue. And I would be willing to look into that with the help of Sue and, Town Hall, to look and see what we could do to address that issue with the flooding at the park.
Same question, Jordan.
I feel like any concern brought up by a citizen should be looked at. And if that's a true concern, which I know it is, because I have part of that creek that goes through my property that gets backed up because of the same people you're talking about. So I've had to deal with that personally, with my pond overflowing and not draining properly. So I know that is an issue, and I'd be more than happy to try to get something together, get the council together, and like Mark said, get with Sue and the town hall to try to get FEMA to look into it and see what we would be able to do to correct that drainage issue. Maybe create a new path or something like that. But I'm not a drainage expert either. I'd be happy to look into it and try to get it resolved.
Julie, same thing.
I would absolutely want to fight to get this fixed. Years back, they had a concert, the Bark and Purr concert, and it was held out there at the park. I attended that concert. I know there were a lot of people. I couldn't even tell you how many people that came from all over to see Chris Young. And that's how long ago this was, because Chris Young was popular back in the day. But a lot of people came to this town for that event, and the park, it was set up great, so it can be utilized for more than just sports events. We can bring, country singers or whatever. We can do a lot of events out there, but like you said, if it's an issue with the drainage, it has to be fixed. And I do know about your yard, because many times I had to drive through that to bring you a package. So I do know it floods at your house. But yeah, it's something that it definitely needs to be addressed, because my grandchildren go down there and play at the park. And then if you got water, you got moccasins. Old lines, and yeah, I've had them in my in front of the motel. Like, I know about the water issues behind there. So, I mean, we really need to address something like that so we can do things with our facilities that we have.
It is designated as a federal floodway that can't be blocked.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem to be enforced right now, and the owner of the property that's blocking is not in the town. So, I mean, you'd have to be working with the county on this issue as well as FEMA.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
We just haven't talked to the right people yet.
yeah.
Right.
You gotta find the right people.
There has to be somebody.
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody can get it done for sure.
Anything else, sir? No. Good? Good? Anybody else?
Anybody else?
Linda, come on.
No, I'm fine.
All right. Ms. B? Chelsea.
I'm as nervous as y'all are.
Oh.
No.
But I really appreciate that you all showed up tonight and were on time, and that
Yep.
I could see all three of you on the council. It's going to be a hard decision on how to make all this happen because of the circumstances of not even having a chance to even vet all of the people who are going to be running. But Jordan, you mentioned the fact that you had small children and you chose to live here and to raise your children. And I think you probably have some really good ideas about your vision towards making that happen for your children that you probably haven't had a chance to express. I know that you're close enough to the park that you'd like to probably go to the park or to participate with when your little boy gets to be in T-ball or whatever is going on. Can you expand on that about what your vision is now for your children growing up here in this town?
Well, I love the park. I take my daughter there probably at least once or twice a week. She loves to swing the slides. We have just recently, well, I say recently, within the last 3 or 4 years, got a new swing set and all that, and we're actually getting new stuff out there right now, exercise stuff out there.
Yeah.
But I feel like right now it's not a place I'd send my wife with her kid by herself, because you go up there, you never know who's going to be up there. You see shady stuff there all the time. I'd like to try to work on that. I'm not sure how we could fix that, but to make it feel more family friendly. One day I'd like this town to see, for us to have a community center somewhere to keep children and teens out doing things they shouldn't be, give them something better to work with the school. When we have work days and stuff like that, we could get with the high schoolers. They need community service time, and having them help us, and we can work with the community through stuff like that. So I'd like to see that in the future, make it a more family-friendly place.
And you're going to hear my bias right now. Is there anybody going to have a problem with, well, let me put it this way. I'd like to know that when I go down to meet with Sue and write a thing and say I want to come in and speak to the council, that you all would welcome that. Because and you're hearing my issue is the fact that I don't think in the past, and it's been some time ago, it hasn't been the most recent past because I haven't been able to go to the council meetings, but I had a feeling that I wasn't welcome. And I don't know if any of you have ever had that experience in Otter or have heard people talk about that.
I would like to say that. I had this conversation today, and I feel like everybody that's sitting up here that's running for office, it's not about us. It's about the town people. And it's not about the color of our skin. It is about doing what's best for this town. We are elected officials. We work for the town. We don't work for ourselves. We're not there for a paycheck. We're there to make sure that the town anything that needs to be addressed is brought to us so we can address it. It shouldn't have anything to do with our ulterior motives. It should have everything to do with the residents of the town. So I would welcome anything that you came to me to talk to about.
I agree, 100%. And I know that, Elijah, can I pick on you for a minute?
Go ahead, go for it.
So, Elijah and I are generally at every council meeting. Elijah will bring up things to address or be addressed, and we are pretty aggressive in our hear my voice attitude. So if we have something to say, we are going to say it. So I have personally never felt that I had not been welcome there. But I will say that there are a couple of people that, attend the town council meetings on occasion that may have something to say, but they haven't filled out the form and expressed themselves in a formal type situation, but they do participate, excuse me, when things come up. So it may not be the formal public participation section, but they do speak up from the audience perspective when something does come up. So I think that having a town manager has helped that situation. I, of course, was not here prior to 3 years ago, so I don't know what happened back then, but I do feel now that, with the slight changes in the council, with having a town manager, things are really opening up to be able to get things done and to encourage participation from the community. I will tell you this, there's more people here today than there was a year and a half ago when I was sitting right there. So I'm happy to see that at least people are coming out to take their time, which everybody's time is valuable, but take their time to hear what we have to say and to be able to ask questions to get a better understanding of what the future growth of the council or future development of the council will look like after April 4th. So thank you for the question.
I feel like if we're not there to listen to any concern that anybody has that lives in the town, then we shouldn't be there at all.
Amen.
That's our number one goal as a public servant, is to serve our citizens.
I will say, if I could just tack on one last thing, that there has been times that people have been addressed, I felt, inappropriately. In each one of those times, Sue, Elijah, Terry will tell you that I got up at that podium and expressed my concern of how those things were handled because it's not appropriate. So if you're sitting on this side, then you don't need to be disrespected for sure, because I'm not going to be disrespected, but I'm not going to disrespect somebody either. If somebody has an elevated emotion about something, my emotion needs to stay low, because the council should be held to a higher standard. So if somebody is being aggressive, that does not give me the right to be aggressive back, because that's not going to solve anything.
Amen.
So you have to, and I've addressed that with people on the council and others as well. So I would, and I think we all would welcome any and everybody. It's a 3-minute limit, right? It's 3 minutes, it's a 3-minute limit, but welcome any concerns or opinions, suggestions at any town council meeting. If you cannot be there, send the form to Sue and I'll be it. We can put it in the minutes. The second thing I was going to add prior to is I would like to see old business addressed, because people have brought up things and it gets tabled and then it gets forgotten.
Yeah.
And until somebody brings it up again. So if, as a council, we say that we are going to have some type of answer, may not be the solution, but some type of update at the next meeting, that should be in the meeting minutes. And I don't know what I need to do for that process, if there needs to be some type of addendum, some type of ordinance, whatever that is, to have that process added. So those, whatever concerns, comments, suggestions, or recommendations somebody has is addressed at the next meeting in some way, shape, or form. It's some type of update. Because currently that is not happening. And I could see how that can make some residents feel that they're not being heard.
I have one last question.
Sure.
Is this a one-time shot? Or I'd like to hear from each of you, is this a one-time shot or is this going to be a long-term engagement for you?
My easy answer is I'm not moving ever again. I'll be 56 next month.
Oh.
I moved to Bronson as my final place. I am not moving. If my house burns down, I'm pitching the tent. I am not moving. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's even closer to where I can spend more of my money. But yes, I am not moving, and I will run every time. And if I don't get elected this time, I'm going to run next time. I'll run every time until the good Lord takes me from this earth.
I plan on being here. I'm currently trying really hard to build onto my house now to make it big enough for my growing family. So I'm planning on staying on it also.
I have a long-term commitment where I'm at, so I am not going anywhere anytime soon. I don't know ever. I actually never leave the town of Bronson unless I have a doctor's appointment. I don't do anything, and I would like to take a vacation, but I'm coming right back to Bronson, and I'll be, if, like Mark said, if he doesn't win this time, he'll be running again, I'll be right beside him. So, this is a long-term commitment for me.
Good question.
Oh, okay. I knew Linda was going to have a question.
No, Linda, say that.
I've been here too long, I already know, right?
I'm not really going to. This is for all three of you. I have managed a business here, and we were broken into several times, and at one time there was a rash of burglaries. You have problems with the park feeling safe. We can't afford a police department. The sheriff's department handles what they can. If you want people to move here, they have to feel safe. How will you do that or start addressing that? I know it's not an easy fix, but I think it's something we need to look into. If you have these events, are you going to have to hire security? There's a lot of things that go on at that park after dark. So my question to all three of you is, how will you start to make inroads to making Bronson a safe, small town?
I think we could start by even just putting more lights up where everything's more lit at night, and try to get some kind of better relationship with the sheriff's department or even FHP for the main road. Eventually, I think one day it'd be really nice if we could try to put together a small police department. I feel like the more we grow, the easier that would be to accomplish, and that would be part of planning, to try to plan to get the funds and to be able to build a police department one day.
I think that that's a good future plan. The more residents, the more revenue. You can start to afford those things. Currently, security is never an easy thing, and you're always going to have some type of crime. I do know that at the park specifically, town council, the town put up cameras. Those are working. I know of 2 people that have been prosecuted for crimes at the park. I have asked for the bathrooms to be locked at night I was told they cannot be, but I can't remember why. All I know is I was frustrated because they couldn't be locked. I'm like, there's no, close at 10, there's nobody supposed to be there, why can't they be locked? But from, lighting is always good. Eyes, ears, see something, say something is always good. Personal accountability is also good. So if you have a business, there are security measures that you can take to protect that business. And I think that the relationship with the sheriff's office, I think, is key. They're literally down the street from my house. And they're close to, the main street of Bronson. So if there's something we could do to strengthen that relationship, I think that would be helpful. Even if it's just a patrol here and there. There are a little bit of issues with the county roads. When I have my grandkids at my house, I'm right on Main Court, and I've asked Sue a billion times about getting a speed bump. We put speed bumps in a lot of areas, but you can't have speed bumps on Main Street because it's a county road. People race down Main Street towards the stop sign every single day. They race down 27. And so I understand that concern. My initial thought is to build relationships with current law enforcement, which is the sheriff's office or, Florida Highway Patrol.
I'm gonna start out with the drug issue. Levy County has been working really hard, cracking down on a lot of the drug dealers and users around here. I have personally known several of them, not in that fashion, but when they get arrested, I'm like, oh my goodness. But the point is, Levy County has the whole county to worry about, but they still patrol the motel, the bar, like every night. They'll come and sit, at closing time, make sure that the girls get out, all right, everything. They are doing their part. I just think they're overwhelmed because we are a big county. So, neighborhood watches is great, but then we might get a vigilante that thinks that they're actually a cop. So that's something that would have to be regulated. But the eyes and ears, when you see something, call. I don't have a problem with that. If I see something going on, I call the sheriff's department because I don't want it to happen to me. So I don't want it to happen to the other businesses in town. So it is a matter of getting the community together, and if they see something suspicious, to make a phone call. Don't feel like you are being nosy. Some people may be nosy, but sometimes the nosy neighbor, finds out who did what. So I think there should be some kind of neighborhood watch, like meeting or something to get the town's involvement to tackle all the crime which I don't think it's quite as bad as it used to be, but it is still present. The drug thing bothers me, and I've had people come to the motel and they look like normal people. When they check out, their room is full of needles. You know what they were doing, and I feel like that Levy County needs to work more on drug problems in Bronson and, everywhere really. But we have a list at the motel. Those people don't stay anymore because we don't want them there.
Right.
So I just think we have to work as a community to address both of those issues, the crime and the drugs. So.
One last thing I would say, that Mr. George brought up, which I think Sister Roberts back there, being quiet, know about it. community center. Once upon a time, we was trying to do that. I thought they had got a grant in for that, but it just died. And we do need that. How would you go about getting with council to get that done? Because that's excellent. We do need that, especially for our kids that's running around, not doing anything but being bad. So that's a very good point.
Well, I think the first thing would be is to get the council on it, to be looking into it, and we'd have to raise funds somehow. Whether that would be one of these events that we're talking about, we could have a special event at the park, or try to get somebody to come, like a concert or something, to raise funds. And we'd have to have a place for it. But it'd be a long process. I know there's probably a lot of grants out there for that, but we couldn't probably rely on that solely. So we'd have to have a plan in effect for, even if we did get a grant, to be able to maintain it and keep up with it and have someone take care of it to where it doesn't get vandalized and make sure it's running properly.
Okay.
Can I speak on that one?
Go for it.
What you said about, I think, once the issue's fixed with the park and stuff like that, bringing, like Williston has their little league and stuff like that, bringing the T-ball and stuff like that to the park, that can start the whole community center or something. Start there, start small, and then build up to that. And even if we had to look out of town for an investor to actually build it, there are a lot of private investor, that would lend you money, kind of like a grant, but it's not a grant. There's a lot of people that would do that for a community. Maybe they grew up here and they moved away because they made millions of dollars or whatever. Maybe they would be interested in coming back to their hometown to, invest in the future of their hometown.
People love a name on their building. They love their name on their building. Look, Julie's down. You're a perfect example. You love to see your name every morning when you go to
And I actually did not pick that name out. Jimmy Gerald did.
Okay.
Because I couldn't decide on a name. Jimmy's like, how about Julie's
Yeah,
Diner?
Jordan's right then. Whoever brings the most money.
And then Charlie argued because my name was on it, he had to have Charlie's Pub. So it was actually supposed to be a completely different name, but I felt bad for him, so I had to let him have it.
Hilarious.
But there are investors out there that wouldn't mind. You just gotta talk to the right people.
Anybody else?
Speak now, that's what we teach. Whatever all we teach.
And then we have to work on the AC in here.
I know, right?
It's really hot.
Gotta get the keys.
I wear shorts.
All right, going once, going
Is somebody
twice.
on the council that's gonna be gone if any of these win, or these?
Two people on the council, yes. One is retiring, Councilor Aaron Edmondson. He's been on the council for on and off for 23 years. And then Councilor Jason Hunt has been on for 8 years.
So those two are all.
So those two, yes. So we will have two new councilors no matter what, yes. Perhaps two of these.
Yeah,
Hope so.
that is good.
Anybody else? All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming. Thanks to the candidates for your open and honest answers. And I appreciate everybody coming.
Amen.